and how they're achieving this today. So to do that, I'd like to invite to the stage Mr. Mark Jeffries.
It's all right. We've done all the clapping already. This is one of my favorite activities at Vision and at all the events I host is speaking to the customers, the clients, finding out what drives them, finding out where they've been successful and where not, so we all can learn something. So what I'd like to do is invite to the stage 3 of our great customers. We have the Director of Global Reporting and Analytics at Johnson & Johnson, Phil Sabo. We have the Managing Director of Financial Planning and Analysis at Alaska Airlines, Tork Zubek, and the Senior Finance Manager at IBM, Jeremy Horner. Gentlemen, how are you? Good to see you. Good to see you. I'm going to sit down, Tork. Nice to see you. All right, thank you very much. Take a seat, take a seat. We even got a nice bit of music as well. Before we begin, I'd like to know a little bit more. I'd like to just ask you each to tell me a little bit about you, your business, what it is you do. So we're talking about Johnson & Johnson. Phil Sabo.
Good morning, everyone. Phil Sabo. I'm the Director of Global Reporting and Analytics at Johnson & Johnson. Johnson & Johnson is an industry leader in pharmaceuticals, medical device, consumer products. We have about $74 to $75 billion annually in sales. We have 126,000 employees across 265 operating groups in 60 countries.
It's a huge business.
It is.
Just keeping that under control, you probably need your own medical device.
We do, yeah, absolutely.
So.
Several.
Next up, let's fly high with Alaska Airlines. Tork Zubek. Tork, I have to tell you something, fair disclosure. I took a flight recently from Seattle down to Los Angeles on Alaska Airlines, and it was fine. It was on time. It was very nice.
You know what? That's excellent. So we love to have our customers to experience over there. So I'm Tork Zubek. I'm with Alaska Airlines, and contrary to popular belief, we're actually based in Seattle, not in Alaska. Right. But I'm in charge of the financial planning and analysis team. We're responsible for the forecasting, budgeting, and business analysis for the company. We also manage the capital for the group. So our company is the 6th largest airline in the country. We have almost 1,000 flights a day, 14,000 employees, and just about 200 aircraft operating. We fly all over the United States, Mexico, Canada, and Hawaii, and most recently Costa Rica.
Very nice, congratulations. And a big question I know is burning away in many minds, any of us that have flown on Alaska, who is that man on the tail?
You know, there's lots of legends about the Eskimo on the tail. Many people in Alaska that grew up there, they think that oh, that's my uncle or that's my grandfather that's on the tail. They're all related. So, but no, he's been around for years, and there's actually we're going to be coming out with some stories about him in the future.
Very good, excellent. A little marketing initiative. I like that. Thank you. Now, this is obviously an IBM event, and we have somebody from IBM, but IBM is also a customer of IBM. So, could you tell us more, Jeremy Horner?
You bet. So I am a customer of the analytics group. I am a senior finance leader. I have responsibility for decision support planning. So I support corporate finance at IBM, so I am a heavy user of the analytical tools and performance management software that IBM has.
Excellent. Well, thank you for being with us, all three of you. So let's get into it now. Phil, many IBM performance management users utilize IBM for budgeting and planning, right? That's the typical way in. But at J&J, you truly are going beyond that. You're spanning the enterprise. Tell us more.
Yeah, Mark, we are. It's great. You know, we embarked on this journey about 3 years ago with IBM. We've been an IBM customer for 15 years, or over 15 years. But for the first time in J&J's 125-year history, we're creating a global capability around reporting and analytics. And we started with sales and marketing deployment, and now what we're doing is we're extending that past that to global functions, including things like compensation, procurement, supply chain, and integrating those processes together with our current sales and marketing program. But in addition to that, we're taking kind of a revolutionary approach on how we're handling reporting. And what we're seeing is that we're able to be agile in our reporting development, and our report development has gone from weeks down to hours.
Wow. So just dig a little bit more into that management reporting for me, and also tell me how the execs are responding.
Yeah, so what's been great is, we're using our TM1 technology as the underlying foundation for our management reporting. And what that's done is it's enabled us to be able to provide that report, and finance people are typically very impatient. right? So, they want it now. We live in this microwave society where waiting a minute is not good enough, right? And what that's enabled us to do is really provide our customers with that capability, at the touch of a button. And in addition to that, it's become our platform for self-service analytics and reporting. And what we've seen is, as we go on and we evangelize the new solution to our group, they've actually been pushing us to deploy the capability to them sooner. When can I get this?
Right.
So it's
once
been great.
word, it's like that social proof piece, isn't it? Once word gets out,
Right.
everybody wants a bit of the action.
Absolutely.
And the sales and marketing piece as well. Can you expand a bit more on that?
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. So sales and marketing was kind of our first foray into the planning capability, leveraging TM1. And what we've done is we've just kind of expanded that. So we can get a good view across our all of our sectors and our regions, and really drive down into product all the way down to the SKU. And we have people who plan at different levels, within the organization. And what it's done, the flexibility has really enabled us to be able to provide that capability to our customers at the level that they're comfortable with, in the language that they're comfortable with. When I say language, I don't mean their language, but their products,
Right.
their products and SKUs.
So you're using these solutions on a much wider basis, a much wider scale than many people in the room are already using. Phil, I'm going to come back to you
Absolutely.
for more.
Yeah,
Let's
great.
go to Alaska Airlines. Talk, running the budgeting and planning for a $5.5 billion organization on Excel had to be a challenge, because that's what it was, right?
Yes. Yeah, it's interesting, Jeffrey. It's been crazy with all the areas that we had to work in, the time that it takes. It's unsustainable in a situation, in an environment that is changing so rapidly.
So how have the end users reacted to this? Because people get very used to doing something one way, and making them change is just so difficult. Right
Yeah.
now we're trying to potty train our baby, and that's hard. So I can only imagine what it must be like at Alaska.
Yeah, well, so their communication has been key. And we just finished our beta implementation, so we're moving into our first budgeting cycle this year. But so far as we've talked to our FP&A team and also the cost center managers that'll be utilizing it, it actually looks and feels very familiar to them. We use the cafe system and also the web interface. And so the look of it is good. Once we've been able to show them how the reports are recreated, how they can leverage the system, the single source of data to access that and not have individual Excel templates out there that they have to spread out, they get very excited about that.
And that familiarity is more than just a feel-good factor. It means the learning curve is nowhere near as steep.
Absolutely, yeah. So we've already seen with the folks that have started using it, they're able to take it and anticipate, and they can already see where they can use it in their existing systems.
Now, another big thing that's very important here is that you're operating a lot of this on cloud, are you not? Why
we are.
cloud? What was that decision all about?
Sure, well, there were three major reasons why we went with the cloud. The first one was speed of implementation. For us, I think maybe many of you, if you go to your IT group and say, hey, we need to support this, they'll say, great, we'll love to do that, get in line. Because we have all these other projects lined up, and we knew we needed to transform and make change quickly. And cloud was a great solution for that because it's hosted something, once we had the security check on it, they were like, we could go and we could implement immediately. The other one was scalability. We could start small. We only had 6 licenses to begin with for our beta implementation. We partnered with Locus Solutions, who are a consultant. They really, working with IBM, they helped us with a package that was easy to say yes to. So we could get it out, we could get it approved quickly, and go implement in a very short amount of time.
And if my understanding is right, and forgive me, I'm an outsider, but you could also operate some on-premise and some on cloud as well.
Well, you absolutely can. We are all in the cloud in here, but that's one of the things I've learned at this conference is that if you have a TM1 system that's on-premise and you want to do another implementation in the cloud, you can do that, which is pretty exciting.
It is. Was there any pushback? You mentioned security, and I bet for a lot of organizations, they're like, whoa, we're not doing anything off-premise. What was the pushback you found?
Sure. Well, with that, really, we just had to make sure that it met every standard that we would normally do for internal and external data collection at the level of this information that we're putting out there. So when our IT group went in, they did the full security review on it, and they were completely comfortable with the security systems that were in place.
All right, thank you so much. I'll come back to you shortly. Jeremy, obviously you work with IBM, so I'm guessing you didn't have too much of a choice out there of vendors, but could you tell us a bit more about how you're utilizing performance management?
You bet. So my team as decision support planners, I break down the responsibilities into reporting, analysis, and projections. And we use, obviously, a full line of IBM products for that. But it's been a gradual process over time to where we have a standardized system in which it's a large TM1 instance, which houses all of our financial expense information. Once we got to that one data source, allows us to use some additional tools and really focus on the predictive nature and driving metrics out there to the business compared to a traditional way of forecasting, which was a person would manually extract data, look at their historical information, maybe run rate out what's going to happen in the future, do very little analysis or statistical analysis on it, whereas now we have the ability, using our SPSS product, SPSS Modeler, to do that in an automated fashion.
Now, we heard earlier that finance people don't like to wait very long, but as you said, they also like to be able to predict accurately. Exactly. What kind of results are you seeing from the predictive side? Tell me more.
Yeah, sure. So we've been extremely pleased with the results. What we're finding is that we are as accurate using our centralized predictive approach, which is an automated solution to forecasting, that we were with individual hundreds and thousands of analysts doing bottoms-up forecasts. So we can, in a fraction of a time, create a baseline metrics view that is just as accurate as it would have been, which taking a significant investment in time and resources.
Jeremy, what's the change management process like with something like that? I know that's a challenge for us, even deploying capability that's similar to what they experience today. You're totally changing the way that your organization is working.
Yeah, we are, and that has been something that we have to prove over time, over the past couple of years, that this works. We can provide an accurate baseline, and it's a great starting point using time series historical information to project forward, and then you set that baseline, and then you have your analyst provide their value-added insight on top of that baseline to make any adjustments. We've proven that it works, and we're going to have to continue.
It's a good story, and you are setting precedents. Talk.
Oh, no, I was just going to say that's exactly our vision for where we want to go with our TM1 system, is to be able to push out to folks with 95% accuracy of what we think they can do, and then have them add that value of, like, what else do we need to know in order to do that? And that's exciting to see that out there and doing it, because that's what we want to, where we want to be too.
Good. Well, let's talk more.
Yeah,
let's bring this story. Yeah, you should. Now
we will.
Weak ties, maybe strong ties.
Yes.
Back to J&J, IBM Command Center. You're implementing it. How's that going to fit in?
Yeah, IBM Command Center is kind of the next piece. So, as part of our role, or my role within the organization, it's responsibility for the operations, the COE, and as we're deploying all of these various implementations across sector and across regions, we need to be able to kind of have that that cockpit view, right? Cockpit view of all of our implementations and where they are, processes, and it enables us to really kind of handle data orchestration throughout our our deployments across different time zones, across different geographies. So. We're in the process of doing a POC on it right now, and
nice.
It's been very promising.
And you're running a session later this week as well, are you not?
I am, yes. Yeah, 1:30 today, as a matter of fact.
1:30 today.
Learn more about Johnson & Johnson.
Very nice. Don't miss it. Thank you. Talk. We were talking about cloud. A lot of people get concerned about how to get data from on-premise ERP to PM running in the cloud. Mm-hmm. Could you talk a tiny bit about that?
Sure. With our implementation, it was fairly straightforward to us. It's primarily we're pulling data out of our PeopleSoft system, and we're able to do that and upload that on a regular basis. So we can set, whether we wanted to update every day, every month, every hour, depending on what our needs are. And it's been pretty easy for us to do, and our consultants help us with that, and it's been straightforward. Eventually, we would like to have it tied in dynamically, but it's not necessary for that right now.
Nice. And you also have a session coming up. When is it?
Yeah, 3 o'clock tomorrow. We'll be talking and going into more detail of our journey in the cloud.
Got it. Free air miles for everyone?
Oh, sure, yeah.
Actually, Talk, you have my favorite first name for a panel, because I'm saying Talk because I'm calling you, but it sounds like I'm going Talk now. That's an order. Jeremy, I know that you probably have a session as well, but what type of expertise did you need to add predictive to the existing solutions that you had? What else did you have to bring in?
Well, that's the beautiful thing. We didn't have to necessarily bring in statisticians or experts on these things, because the tools are so inherently easy to implement. So the SPSS Modeler tool, it has a graphical user interface. Our planning system is, we use Excel for that, so there's no unique skills that have to be learned in order to put data from our planning system into the modeler tool and back into the planning system. It all happens very naturally as part of an FA's job.
Very nice. And in fact, you don't have a session coming up, do you?
I have one in 20 minutes in which I'll be talking more about my statistical solution.
You do? Good. Okay. Well, at least we've got the accuracy there.
Yes.
Lastly, because look at that, our time is running out. Could I ask you, and this could be any of you really, to offer final words of wisdom to anyone who's looking to build on from what they've learned from you today, to actually take either those first steps or midway steps or steps that are much further along the journey? Any words of wisdom?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's important to kind of have that roadmap and that strategy in place, but don't let the enormity of the project paralyze you. Continue to make incremental small steps along that journey, and continue to march down the field. If you're constantly debating each other, you're not going to be able to provide that value to your business, and you really want to. Small wins, small victories along the way is very important.
But have the destination in mind.
Absolutely.
Talk.
Clearly.
No, I would agree with that. For us, it was important to have the right partner and to start small in an area that you don't have to boil the ocean on here. Go out, pick out a clear area to work on that, and then add on capability as you go.
All right, lastly, very briefly, Jeremy.
Yeah, the destination was key. That was how I sold the vision of what we were trying to accomplish, and just showing results and progressively getting there is going to sell itself.
Fabulous. Gentlemen, thank you so much for sharing your ideas and your stories with us today. Ladies and gentlemen, your panel, thank you. Thanks. Thank you, guys. So, all that remains for me to do in this particular breakout now is introduce our next speakers.